I think the biggest reason people don't take action is fear. Fear of many different things. Fear of what's going to happen if I take this action. Is it going to cause me pain? Is it going to be uncomfortable? Am I going to have to do something I don't want to do? Perhaps, I know for some business owners, myself included, this used to be me more, a fear of being seen. What if I put myself out there and people don't like what they see? What if they attack me on social media? What if all sorts of things? What if it ends up not going well and my business tanks? What if my family doesn't like what they hear? Or just fear of doing something wrong, fear of doing it the wrong way, of spending money on coaching or spending money on a retreat that doesn't actually benefit them. And so that fear just pops up in so many different ways. And that is something that I actually address a lot in the retreats that I do. I actually have a retreat called Unplug from Fear.
The Intelligence Forge podcast is sponsored by Permasize AI Forge. The Intelligence Forge podcast is sponsored by Permasize AI Forge. At Permasize AI Forge, we know you're ambitious. But are manual tasks like admin, lead generation, nurturing, and onboarding holding you back from truly scaling your business? Imagine saving dozens of hours every week, freeing you to deepen client relationships and execute high-impact strategy. Our clients aren't just imagining it. They're saving countless hours per week and doubling their revenue within months. We custom-build AI automation systems that eliminate the grind. From effortless lead generation and nurturing to seamless onboarding, we give you back the most valuable resource, your time, so you can focus on building those vital human connections and driving strategic growth. Stop letting repetitive tasks limit your potential. It's time to build a business that works for you, not the other way around. Ready to unlock your true scaling power? Visit PermasizeAIForge.com and book your free AI audit call today to discover how you can save time and double your revenue. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the Intelligence Forge YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new episode.
Building an authentic leadership practice, how energy, healing, and coaching creates sustainable business growth. Welcome to the Intelligence Forge. I'm thrilled to have you here today, Margaret. Thanks so much for taking time to join us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Fantastic. All right, Mo, I'd love you to start by having you introduce yourself to our listener. Tell us about I Love It When LLC, what you do, and your role in your own world.
Okay, awesome. So I've had I Love It When for about 5.5 years now. Prior to the company, I was a director of operations in the real estate industry for almost 8 years. And so it was during that time when I had that job where I learned a lot about how to run a small business. And I realized towards the end of my time there, I really want my own company. I want to be the boss of my own schedule, my own life, and there were things I wanted to pursue. And so I started my business in July of 2020 during the pandemic, and I had just enough money to last me about a month and a half. And so I was taking a big leap of faith, but I was really excited, and I just felt a big yes in my whole body. Like I knew this was what I was supposed to do. And so when I started my company, I thought that 80 to 90% of it would be coaching one-on-one and in small groups. And it's ended up being about 50% of my business. The other parts are doing workshops for companies that are all around communication, vulnerability, presence, and energy. And then I also often get hired for speaking gigs. So people can hire me to speak at their conferences or team meetings or things like that. And then I also put on my own retreats that are for personal and professional growth. And then companies hire me to do retreats for their company. So it's been a wild ride, these 5.5 years. Beyond that, I also do a podcast. So that's one way that I help kind of people understand what I do. And then energy healing, as you mentioned in your intro, has become an integral part of my business. And I became certified in Reiki in 2021, and then certified in the emotion code, which is another modality, just about 1.5 years ago. And so that has been integrated into everything that I do. I guess you could kind of say that's like my secret sauce.
That's fascinating. Thank you so much for giving us this background. But what is the most exciting things that is happening at I Love It When right now? Any recent win, any success story, particularly, that you want to share with us today?
Yeah, great question. The most exciting thing that's happening probably is that I just got done with a retreat here in the Everett, Washington area, probably about 3 weeks ago now. And so I had 6 people in attendance. It's a small, intimate group. And we spent 3 days together learning about energy healing, learning about how to remove blocks in their life. Some of them are business owners. Some of them just came because they want to be a part of it. And it was phenomenal. It was amazing. And whenever I do those events and I'm in person with people, it always reminds me of why I do what I do and why I love what I'm doing. So that's one piece that just happened that's exciting. Another exciting piece is coming up here at the beginning of May. I'll be going to New York City to speak at a Sotheby's event, which is a real estate brokerage, to speak with about 100 brokers all about the intention and energy they put into their business and how to get more joy in their life and in their business. So I'm really excited about that too.
All right. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move forward. Let's talk about how you run your business operationally. Apart from the mainstream AI tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, or Krog, what specific AI tool or technology are you currently leveraging on to stay competitive or to streamline your operation?
All right, so what current AI tool am I using to leverage myself in my operations? I'm actually not using a lot of AI or any hardly at all right now. Yeah, because I was in operations before, the way that my brain works, I set up systems and processes to support myself. So I use one of the tools that I talk about all the time is Evernote, which does have AI built into it. But I use Evernote for my operations manual to house all of my notes for coaching, all of my processes, things like that. And besides that, I use Dropbox to organize my documents. And then I use Zoom a lot. And a lot of what I do is actually in person, whether it's over Zoom or in person interaction with people. So there's not a lot of other ways that I utilize AI right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Here is the fun one. The magic wand question everyone gets to answer. It's your turn now. So, if you have a magic wand and you could instantly improve one thing about I love it when operation, what will it be and why?
And I guess the number one thing if I could do anything and wave the wand, it would be to have more exposure, to have what I've been working on in my business for 5.5 years be seen by more people.
All right. Okay, thank you so much for sharing that. I think that's a good one. And like they will say, your wish is my command. You can see it come to pass every time. All right. I'm just curious about if you took a 6-month sabbatical tomorrow, would I love it when continue to grow or will it plateau? In other words, have you built a business that can scale without you, or are you still the primary engine running the business?
Good question. I am still the primary engine running the business. There are certain things that, like the content that I've created on social media, the content that I have on YouTube, I firmly believe that that would still continue to get watches and eyes and people integrating and participating in that content. But in terms of the coaching, I'm the primary coach, and so I'm the person who people interact with, whether it be speaking engagements. That's the thing about the work that I do is it's a lot involves me as of now. Yeah.
But do you think that could change anytime soon?
It could absolutely change. At some point, I would like to hire an assistant to help me with the social media, to help me build out different parts of my website, things like that. I don't know that I have plans right now to build a coaching company. I don't know that I want to hire other coaches and work with multiple people like that. That's not something that I've decided that I want yet or not.
That's fascinating. Thank you. Let's dive into, your core mission, helping humans step into authentic leadership. From your perspective, what does authentic leadership actually mean in today's business environment, especially for entrepreneurs and business owners?
Great question. Authentic leadership to me means real transparency and acknowledging the human. And I think that is something that for a long time, at least in the US, we've not been taught how to do. And it's not really been accepted or welcomed either. So much of what I coach on is really acknowledging the human, bringing the human into the workplace and acknowledging that we're not just robots doing a job. We are human. So I think authentic leadership to me means acknowledging the human, bringing that part as the leader, acknowledging that the people that you're working with or who are your employees are human and have lives and have things going on and have emotions and have feelings, and being able to acknowledge that and lead through that at the same time.
All right. Thank you so much. Do you share a specific example of a transformation you've witnessed, either through your coaching, energy healing, or retreat work, where someone really stepped into their authentic leadership? What was the journey like?
Great question. So if I were to pick one, the one that comes to mind immediately is a client that I was working with who's on the East Coast. She co-leads a real estate team, so she does the business with her partner, with her husband. And I worked with her for about 2 years, and She came to work with me knowing that she wanted help in her personal and professional growth, but not knowing exactly what she needed. And so I love that when people just feel like they're pulled, but they don't know why, because we can explore that together. And so we started just digging into different things that would come up in the business. And over those 2 years, I gave her tools to use to help her with their employees. Like, how do you have a hard conversation when someone's not meeting the standards? When someone, whether it's a sales agent or an operations person, if they're not meeting the standards, how do you have that conversation in a way that's productive, that helps them get back into business or helps them decide to leave? And so I gave her some different tools like Fierce Conversations, which is a great book by Susan Scott, and it gives great outlines of how to have those conversations. And then I would walk her through them and actually have them with her, help her through that. I gave her a number of homework assignments. So between sessions, I usually meet with people twice a month. And between each session, I give them action steps to do. And sometimes those action steps might not make sense to them, but there's always an intention behind it from my perspective. And so I had her start to meditate. I had her start to tune in to herself, to her own heart, to begin to connect with the truth that she has within her. And then she was able to see how over time, the great thing was that she coached with me for 2 years. And so at a minimum, people coach with me for at least 6 months because I really need them to see how the tools that I give them, what the ROI is on that. And it needs some time. It needs some time for things to happen in life, for you to be able to try something and kind of see what happens. And so over the course of those 2 years, she really gained a lot of confidence in herself as a leader and her ability to lead the team next to and alongside her husband. And it was just fantastic to see that confidence grow and for her to feel like, okay, I can do this. I'm really, truly a leader, because her husband had been the leader and founder of that business for, I think, 15 years. And she had just started like 3 years ago. So she felt like she needed to assert herself and really find herself as a leader. And so it was amazing to see that happen.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. But I wanted to go a little bit one step deeper in terms of, sharing one of the best results that you've been able to achieve, for your client, apart from the one you just shared. But the way I wanted to describe it is to tell us what was their problem? Why do they actually agree to work with you? Why did they, get in touch with you? What did they see in themselves that makes them think that, oh, I think I need help? This will be helpful to our audience because sometimes it's difficult for people to assess themselves and realize, oh, I have a problem and I need help. So sometimes somebody needs to bring it out of people. But if you maybe share something without mentioning anybody's name, somebody could relate with you and say, oh, that looks like me also. Maybe I need help. So I just want you to look at one area that you think best result, look at what's the problem. Maybe they told you some of the things they've been feeling before they actually come into contact with you, and eventually they agree to work with you, and then what the solution is and what their experience.
Great question. So the experience that comes to mind, there's a couple, and a theme that I've seen over the years is that oftentimes people feel lost and they feel confused and they feel unsure of what direction to take, of what they actually want. They can't get clear on what they want in their business or in their life. And so they oftentimes will come to me because they're looking for that clarity and they want someone outside of themselves to ask them questions, to help them dig, to help them find that clarity. And so an example of that would be actually one of my first clients in the first year of my business who came to work with me. He was a real estate agent and he thought he wanted to build a team. He thought he wanted to have a big business with many team members. And so he came to work with me because he knew that I had been on a large team and I knew how to recruit, how to train, how to manage. I knew all those different components of a team. But over the course of the year and a half that we worked together, it became clear to me that he actually didn't want a team. And so then I had to just continue to ask him questions and help him dig through that until he was able to assert for himself, yeah, this is not actually what I want. And so, that's a really big difference to have. If he had gone forward with creating a team and having more employees, it creates your life. It takes over a large part of your life. And so I think oftentimes people come to me because they know if I start this business and I grow it really big, this is what it's going to look like. This is what my schedule is going to look like. And do I actually want that? And so I think that's oftentimes why people find themselves coming to me, is because they're looking for clarity and they're looking for someone to ask them questions to help them get that clarity for themselves. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. And at the end of the day, he was excited. He was happy. Everything continue to move in the right direction. All right. Thank you so much for breaking that down. Let's look at something a little bit different. When you mentioned, some interesting things about retreats, coaching sport, building awareness. I'm just curious when it comes to people coming to you or you approaching them and telling them, well, they need help in this area, or they're telling you, okay, this is something that is going on in their life. What do you see as the biggest challenge that makes people not take action, seek help? Even though sometimes they do know they need it, maybe you already told them, you had a discovery with them, or you have some discussion with them, but yet they are not taking, action. What biggest reason why people, don't take action?
It's a fantastic question. I think the biggest reason people don't take action is fear. Fear of many different things. Fear of what's going to happen if I take this action. Is it going to cause me pain? Is it going to be uncomfortable? Am I going to have to do something I don't want to do? Perhaps, I know for some business owners, myself included, this used to be me more, a fear of being seen. What if I put myself out there and people don't like what they see? What if they attack me on social media? What if all sorts of things. What if it ends up not going well and my business tanks? What if my family doesn't like what they hear? Or just fear of doing something wrong, fear of doing it the wrong way, of spending money on coaching or spending money on a retreat that doesn't actually benefit them. And so that fear just pops up in so many different ways. And that is something that I actually address a lot in the retreats that I do. I actually have a retreat called Unplug from Fear, because I believe that in this world, there's a lot of fear-based leadership. So there's a lot of leaders who use fear to manipulate. And that is not something I will ever do, ever want to do, I'm always checking myself to make sure that I'm coming from a place of integrity and coming from a place of a pure heart, because I think fear gets tossed around and used in all sorts of ways to get people to do things. And so helping people set the fear aside and really being able to tune into what they want and slow down. I guess that's the other thing I would say is beyond fear. The other thing that I think often is blocking people is just how fast they're going in life. Like they're going so fast, doing so many things that they don't slow down enough to be able to really tune in and hear themselves.
So my follow-up question would be, how do you help them come out of this fear?
Great question. The first piece to that is acknowledging or recognizing that they are having or experiencing some fear, because sometimes people just don't know it. So if they have decided to start coaching with me, then I start by having them do some exploratory exercises. And one of those is meditation. Even just for 5 minutes a day for the 2 weeks between when we meet, I'll have them meditate, connect with themselves, and ask themselves a question. What is blocking me right now? And then just write down whatever comes up. And so getting them to acknowledge and discover where that fear is the first step. And then beyond that, it's this process of starting to regulate your body, regulate your nervous system so that you can do things without that fear. And so, for instance, if it were to be seen more, I might give them a homework assignment of like, hey, I'd like you to put yourself on live, Facebook Live or Instagram Live or TikTok Live or something. I'd like to put yourself on live every day for the next 7 days for at least 5 minutes and talk about something, share something that would benefit your audience. And so as they're doing that, I also have them recognize and pay attention to what do they feel in their body? Where does the fear show up? Is it in your chest? Is it in another part of your body? What are you feeling? Are you sweating? And start to acknowledge, like, how's your body responding? Because the other thing that I look at as an energy healer is trapped emotions. And so sometimes we have trapped emotions that have been in our bodies since we were little kids. If we had some sort of a trauma happen or an event that happened, if we didn't feel those feelings and release them, then they get stuck in our body. And that could be adding to the fear that we're feeling today. In my case, I'm 44 years old. And so I've had to release a lot of trapped emotion that has been in my body my whole life that has nothing to do with my business, but I'm still feeling it. So it's impacting my decisions. And so that's something that I think I bring when I bring my energy healer self, that perspective to my clients. That's something else that I'm looking for, because they're carrying around stuff that does not serve them to this day.
Wow, thank you so much. I think we all know that when you leave emotion within you is what they said cause disease.
Yeah.
And people just need to know. Otherwise, people just develop some kind of disease and they don't know where it's coming from. And it builds up over time. It doesn't happen overnight. And I think that's one of the things. But again, and I agree with you, it's not coming from a place of fear, because sometimes when people project this kind of thing and they tell them, oh, do you know you're going to get sick? Then it's like you're creating fear to make people think that, oh, that's the... But I think it's from the place of awareness, the place of information, letting people understand. It's like when you describe the law of gravity, you describe the law, you sow something, you reap something. The normal law You can't stop it. It's a law. Breathe it through. Apart from the fact that, when I joke with people, say, well, law of gravity, it's not, 100% because there's another law that is on top, which is the law of lift. But the reality is the gravity still works. If you throw something without the power of lift, it's coming down. Accidents, you can't change that. So if people knows that this thing is all about law, if you do this happens. If you do this, I think that awareness and that information will help them make informed decision that will like rather you see fear to say, oh, if you don't do this, this is going to happen. This is the
Yes.
people that begin that preach is like manipulation anyway. But I think
Yes.
I had, yeah, thank you so much for that. All right.
Totally.
Something really unique, with I Love You when, you combining energy healing, coaching, retreat, and even emotional code now, But the even disruptive question that I want you to answer, what if traditional one-on-one coaching model is actually limiting your impact? Have you considered what other people may look like? Group coaching or group program or digital product that probably could benefit a whole lot of people at once rather than one-on-one.
Yeah, I used to do a program called BU, the Inner Circle. And this was back in like the second and third year of my business. I started a program with Kathleen Metcalf, who you've actually had on the podcast. And so we had at any time anywhere between 10 to like 45 people in that group. And it was fabulous. It was fantastic. We did it for about 2 years. But then I just felt myself pulling back from it, and I just felt like I was supposed to go another direction. And so I stopped doing that. I do offer small group coaching right now, which usually has a max of 4 to 5 people in it. But I've definitely been considering what would it look like if I were to have a group program that had 100 people in it. What would that feel like? What would that look like? And I just haven't felt called to do that yet. I very much run my business according to my intuition. And so if I don't feel called to do something, I don't do it, which is definitely not how we were taught to do business. People are always looking to scale. People are always looking to do different things. But I do think at certain points in my business, I have been very called to do a lot of one-to-one work because some people, what I've found is that some people don't feel safe enough to share certain things in a bigger group. And so I could definitely reach more people and I could definitely make more money if I had group programs. And perhaps at one time, some point, maybe I will. I'm not crossing that off the list for sure. But I think sometimes a lot of the folks who find me would not share the things that they share with me if they were in a group with 50 other people. And so I think it just depends on what I'm called to. I definitely, over the years, have worked with large groups. When I speak at conferences, it's anywhere from 50 to 150 people in a group. And I love that work. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun energy in the room when you have that many people. So it's definitely not crossed off my list. It will probably happen at some point. Just right now, it's either been one-to-one work or groups of 4 to 5. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Well, it's just something that I feel like, worth asking just to have it, what you think about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's definitely a smart thing to do because I'm a business of one and it's just me. It would make the most sense for me to have larger programs like that because as one person, I can only do so much.
True. That's true. And again, there are a lot of people that need what you're doing and can cover a lot of ground if you're still doing it alone. So
that's very true. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that.
All right. Okay. So this is a very important question that I want to ask you. So if somebody is on your program, usually, typically, probably not, but what is the first sign that they will see that will make them feel like, yes, this is working? I'm seeing some transformation.
Great question. I've never had anybody ask me that. That's such a good question. I should actually share this on social media. Probably one of the first signs that people will get that something is happening and that this is working is that they'll start to get messages in meditation that make sense to them. So when I started meditating, I didn't realize that I was actually getting messages from my heart, from my intuition every day, every single day. I just discounted it. I thought, oh, no, that's just silly. That's not a message. I just got that message about Harry Potter because I watched that movie last week. And I would basically explain it away. So getting people to meditate and getting them to ask questions and then get answers and then take those answers and actually do something with them, like treat them as an action step. That's one thing that starts to happen is they start to see how they are their best source of coaching. They are their own best leader. And I love that. That's one thing. The second thing I would say is that they start to have more awareness every single day. So in their interactions with their own business, with vendors that they work with business partners, with their family, they start to recognize, maybe for an example would be, they start to recognize that they're not standing up for themselves because they're more present in their conversations. They're realizing, hey, when I talk to my business partner, they say this, I don't like it, but I don't say anything. Like I don't stand up for myself or I don't voice my opinion. And so they start to notice things that they normally would have just discarded and just kept going on throughout their day. And they start to recognize, wow, if I stood up for myself, it might actually shift the trajectory of my business, especially if it's with a business partner, right? Where you're supposed to be making decisions together. If you're not voicing what you think and what your ideas are, it's actually hindering your business. And so those would be two things, is getting the messages in meditation and then also starting to build more awareness day to day where they realize, oh, I have not been actually present enough to recognize what I'm doing every single day. And now that I'm present, I can make a different choice and it will produce a different outcome.
Wow, that is fascinating. And I think this could set a lot of expectation for a lot of people that may want to come, join your program or, come for you to help them for one thing or the other. Because it's foundational. If they know that this is the first thing they will begin to see, I think that could trigger a lot of interest in some people. But I thank you so much for sharing that. You change one thing about how the world operates today. What will you do?
My gosh, if I could change one thing about how the world operates today, wow. I guess if I could change one thing, if I had to pick one thing, it would be that everyone was given the space and the time, whether it be a year, 2 years, whatever we came up with, but they were given the space and the time and the help to actually acknowledge whatever trauma or things that they haven't had, like the emotional trauma that they've gone through. If they were given the opportunity and the space to look at that and heal from that, the ripple effect of that would be huge. That would be the one thing I would change. Yeah.
Wow, that's huge. I agree with you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, where do you want to see I love it when it comes to growth in the next 12 months?
In the next 12 months.
Really revenue, but that could also be. But in terms of transformation, where do you want to see your company grow?
Let's see, over the next 12 months, I would like to see I Love It When have a further reach. And so part of my end goal that I'm not super clear on yet is that I just know that I Love It When is supposed to be global. I don't know if that means that I just always work with people that are all around the world, or if that means that I have an office in different countries, or what that means. But I know that it's supposed to be global. And so I would love to start experiencing speaking events or retreats that are in other countries. That would be something that I could see happening within the next year. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. Just like what I was saying earlier, a lot of people that would definitely benefit from what you're doing. And you just need to blow your trumpet the more. That's it. Okay. All right. So if there is one piece of advice that you could give to any business owner, any entrepreneur who is facing some kind of challenge, or probably they don't have some clarity in some areas about their business, about whatever it may be, what advice will you be giving them at this moment?
My number one piece of advice would be to challenge yourself for the next 30 days to sit down, or you can walk and meditate too, but with nothing in your ears, no headphones, no music, no meditation music, nothing, but sit or walk. And for 5 minutes a day, ask yourself, what do I need to know today? Just that. And anything that comes to mind, write it down. You might start to notice patterns. You might start to notice images. You might hear something. You might smell something. That's your intuition talking to you. So do it for 30 days, preferably in the morning, but it can be any time of day. Just for the next 3 days, no matter what, do this and ask, what do I need to know today? And you'll get direction.
All right, Mo, before we wrap, where can our listener connect with you to learn more about I Love It When, whether it's booking a breakthrough session, journey, a retreat, or just follow your journey? Where should they go?
I love that. You can go to my website. It's just iloveitwhen.org, and you can sign up for my newsletter there, so you'll be on my newsletter list every month. Another great spot is YouTube, I Love It When LLC, and you can check out, I have over 80 podcast episodes and lots of different videos with testimonials where you can hear from other people's experiences about me and with me. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mo. Your insight has been very, very insightful. Personally, I enjoy it, and I know that our audience definitely will benefit from everything that you've shared with us today. I have to say thank you once again, and I wish you all the best. And I think it will reach out to people, continue to help people, continue to transform their life I just want to say, let the growth continue. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
You didn't quit your day job to become a full-time admin assistant. The Intelligence Forge podcast is sponsored by Permasize AI Forge. At Permasize AI Forge, we know you didn't start your business to spend 60 hours a week on paperwork, chasing leads, and managing endless admin tasks. You started it to build something meaningful and serve your clients. But right now, you're trapped in the day-to-day grind instead of growing your business. What if I told you our clients are reclaiming 15, 20 hours per week, increasing their revenue by 30 to 50% within 6, 12 months, and finally getting their lives back? We don't just automate random tasks. We build custom AI systems that eliminate the bottlenecks choking your growth, from leads generation to lead, nurturing and management to project management to client follow-ups. Stop paying for an expensive, frustrating manual system. It's time to upgrade to strategic automation. Visit PermasizeAIForge.com and book your free business transformation strategy call today. Discover exactly how much time and money you're losing to manual processes and how to get both back. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Intelligence Forge, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode packed with game-changing insights. Your future automated business is waiting.